Hello, I think we are on. We're going to let some people come on and see what's happening. Welcome to Reverb's Quarantine Kitchen. This is the third edition of our somewhat ragtag cooking show that we've put together. As we're all staying at home and cooking more, figured it was probably a good idea to, I was just calling up other musician friends that were no longer on the road either and wondering what their favorite recipes were, and realized maybe other people want to know what this is too. So that's kind of how the origins of this started. This is our third episode. We had Stefan Lassar from Dave Matthews Band last week and Brian from Guster the week before, cooking two great recipes that I've cooked actually twice each already because they're so good. And of course, now for this one, it's Tyler Stewart from Barenaked Ladies. We're going to bring him on in a minute here. But just to give a little background in case you're new to Reverb and what we're about, we're an environmental nonprofit group that my wife and I started 16 years ago. I also play in a band called Guster that I started almost 30 years ago. And Reverb was designed to basically help bands go green on the road while engaging all their fans and harness the power of music to engage millions of people to take action for people on the planet. And we've done that on a bunch of tours so far, 250. But the very first tour that we ever did was with Barenaked Ladies. They've been old friends and dear friends, and I am so honored and happy to welcome Tyler onto the show, who's an incredible cook too. So Tyler Stewart, are you there? Can you come in? Apparently there he is. Wait a minute, can we hear him?
You can't hear me?
Now we can. Hey, Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Phew.
That's the first time anyone in their life has ever said they can't hear Tyler Stewart.
How you doing, Ty?
Amazing, man. Just, sauteing some onions here with a little bit of cumin seed for our recipe. I realized that the cumin seed isn't in the recipe. So if you're going to post this and people are going to make it, right after the onions, it should say a teaspoon of cumin seeds. Never forget the cumin.
All right. We have the recipe that we'll put this online when we archive this. I think there's also a link to the recipe here on the posts and Facebook as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab this garlic here and put it in. This is a very safe way of doing it. Walk across the kitchen with a sharp knife right into the pan like that. That's how you do it. If there's a small child or a dog or a wife in the way, just don't worry. Just barge right through with the sharp knife. It's totally cool.
You've signed the waiver, I assume, already. Saying
it's so dangerous. Cut
your fingers off.
You have to sign a waiver.
Yeah, we're not responsible for ending your musical career.
Right.
That's not what we're doing here. So what are we doing here? What are you cooking up for us, Tyler?
Okay, so this is a root vegetable curry, essentially, using coconut milk and coconut oil. I love it because root vegetables, to me, it's a bit more of a fall dish than it is a spring summer dish, but it's so hearty. And you got good things in here. I used some celery root instead of parsnip. That's another change I made from the recipe. Got some yams underneath there. I have some multicolored carrots under there.
Nice.
We're going to put some potatoes in there. In general, it's all things grown, tubers, things grown in the earth.
Yeah. All right. And, the idea, because it's Reverb and we're an environmental nonprofit, the idea is that the dish is an eco-friendly dish. So you made a vegetarian curry here, which is awesome. So it's all veggie, right? Maybe even vegan?
Yes. It is vegan because it uses coconut milk. Oh my God, I'm making a vegan dish.
Yes, you are.
Don't tell any of my barbecue chef friends.
Don't worry, nobody can see or hear this. You're fine.
It's totally cool. The great thing is that in my house, my wife Jill is a pescatarian, but when I'm cooking up ribs or brisket or big juicy steaks or something like that, she doesn't partake. The rest of my family does. But on this one, everyone can eat it, and there's never any leftovers. Well, there's leftovers, but then you don't have to worry about cleaning them out of the back of the fridge in 3 weeks when they've grown legs.
Right.
It's all very delicious.
Awesome. I can't wait. So I've been trying everybody's recipes. It's been going well so far, so I'm excited to try this one. And hopefully some folks are trying along with you. It's possible. We put the recipe out ahead of this, so it is possible.
Sure. Well, we've done the magic of television. Like, you notice that there's nary it. Well, there's a knife here. There's a beautiful Japanese knife right here, but I already used it. When on the cooking show, I said, "Here's one I prepared ahead of time." That's exactly what I did because we don't have all night here, do we? It's dinner hour, so people, if they're watching at 5 p.m. Eastern, they're going to have to get their own kitchen and gear right after this.
That's right. We're hopefully doing it along with you.
Yeah, man.
So how's quarantine been for you? Like, I feel like everyone's finding their own way through this. What's been keeping you staying positive and entertained?
I don't really have an answer for that question. I don't know, man. I'm just, hanging out, doing my thing. I think patience is something I don't have. I am an anxious guy, and also I love my job. And so, as you and I both know, our jobs they're gone for now. Our touring, regular jobs.
Yeah.
And I miss that. I miss my guys. But luckily, we have the internet. So, people like you, old friends, my bandmates, we get together and we do things. And that's kind of keeping me sane. Having all of my family here, too, is oddly, that's been reassuring, both my older girls back from university. It's good to have other adults around. And, of course, we have young Carmen, who's 9 years old, who we've been homeschooling. Actually, Jill's been homeschooling her because I've discovered that I'm a terrible teacher.
I think a lot of parents are discovering that right now.
Isn't it amazing how much I think the respect now will go up for their educators in our world. Next time they ask for a pay raise, I bet you they might get it.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of people who are going insane trying to teach their children at home. And, I'm one of them. But, I think the main thing is, trying to have some sort of routine, I guess. I'm staying up way too late, probably eating and drinking too much. But, other members of my family are getting up and doing Pilates and exercise. And the first couple of weeks of this, I was helping my daughters with essays for university. So I'm quite adept on the theories of Sigmund Freud, the comedic utilization of ideological comedy in Monty Python and Stanley Kubrick. Shit, man, I'm all over it.
Yeah. What kind of music have you listened to lately?
I'm fully into the playlist action. Someone else wants to curate. So, if I want 60s soul bangers on Google Play or something like that. But honestly, your music is a family favorite for us. Millie is doing their camera for us right now. She will tell you that our families go to on long trips when we're tired of listening to everything else and we're getting on each other's nerves and it's too long being in the car. We put on a Guster selection and then everyone can sing along because your songs are so effing great and so sing-alongable that Guster, an assorted Guster situation gets us through the day. So highly recommend it. What else have I been listening to lately? Tame Impala.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy electro dancey.
Love them. Right on tour with them. We were on tour with Tame Impala. REVERB was helping them green their tour right when this whole thing hit and when everyone had to go home.
Oh man, that's too bad. They seem like nice Australian chaps.
Yeah.
What else have I been listening to around here? Gordon Lightfoot. Yeah. I'm like rediscovering our Canadian, folky roots here.
Didn't he have a cameo on your kids' record?
He did. As a matter of fact, his favorite snack is pasta. I don't know if you remember that. What a snack. I'm just going to have some pasta. I wonder he's not 400 pounds. But Gord's career has been amazing. And there's different times where his voice sounds different over the years. But what a beautiful singer Gord Lightfoot is, man. So I've been digging that. Whatever the kids put on. My kids have been listening to Casey Musgraves a lot lately.
Love that record.
Oh, what a beautiful album, man. And, another story of somebody who's been toiling for a long time in Nashville and, finally made it happen. You could probably move around if you want, Bill.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the dish. So you're heating up the cumin seeds. Is that what's happening right there?
Yeah, it's sort of browning the onions a little bit. Sort of, if you can brown your onions so they're not burnt, you'll get a little bit more sweetness out of the dish, and it'll be a little richer. So I've got it on pretty low heat here in my cast iron Dutch oven, and it's starting to look pretty nice in the browned department. And then I'm going to add these all the spices, which is like turmeric curry powder, a little bit more cumin, some salt, and a little bit of Kashmiri chili powder, which to me that's my cayenne pepper substitute. It has a little bit more of a earthy heat. Earthy Heat. That's the name of my solo album. Tyler Stewart and Earthy Heat.
Sounds very bluesy.
Okay, let's add the spices in here. So we'll put all that in. We'll mix it around. And our Indian friends would call this a masala, right? It's all mixed together. And it's sort of more of a, I don't know, it's a little more of a Jamaican vibe because of the coconut. But I don't know. It's all I know is it smells amazing in here right now.
I bet it looks incredible.
That's the idea. I find that certainly in these times, right? Any kind of aromatherapy, anything that reminds you of the good times, whether that be food. Somebody today had their fireplace on, so the whole neighborhood smelled like beautiful fire, like firewood, campfire vibe, and it sure helps. Anything you can do to kind of, alleviate your own thoughts and worries about health.
No doubt.
It's a good thing.
Speaking of remembering the good times, I was looking for some photos because we have the ability through this program we're using to split the screen to show some pictures to folks. And I was just looking through some old pictures because you're the old, as far as band friends that we have, especially everybody in our band loves everybody in your band. Guster and Barenaked Ladies are, you're really our oldest music friends. We met when we were all in college ourselves. You're a couple years ahead of us. And, some of our first big tours as Guster was opening up for you all.
And, yeah, man. Those in those days, those were such fun days. I remember when we first met you guys, you were called Gus.
Wow, that's right. It goes way back.
Yeah, you gave us your demo tape, and we were like, wow, check it out. They don't have a drum kit, man. And the usual thing when anyone sees, the Thunder God for the first time, it's like, wow, are your hands sore? You must get sore hands.
Exactly.
The usual. And I think I probably said that. But, and then what the great thing is that when we made Stunt, at that point, our third album. Oh, by the way, I've added the vegetables here. A few. I still got to put the potatoes in. I'm just stirring them around to coat them in the spices and the onions and the oil. So you just sort of coat everything. I still got to add the potatoes, which are right here. I'll do that.
Nice. Well, some of the pictures that kind of got shown on the screen was actually more about REVERB and how you were also the first band to experiment along with us with going green on tours and starting our nonprofit really off with a bang with your tour. Was it a co-headliner or I'm not sure, but Alanis Morissette was with you as well.
Oh yeah, the Au Natural tour.
That's right.
That's right, with Alanis back in 2004. But when we met you, our A&R person at Reprise Records, Sue Drew, big shout out to Sue. I hope you're watching today. She was awesome. We had the best A&R people when we were with Reprise because they didn't bug us ever, and they let us do what we wanted. But she made some great suggestions in terms of producers, because you guys had worked with Steve Lillywhite on Lost and Gone Forever. So we thought about him, and we thought about a few other people, but she gave us your record to check out. And I was like, Gus. Oh my God, it's those guys,
Right.
From Hamilton College or wherever the hell we played together back in like 96 or so. Yeah. And so this is 98. And I love that album. I still love that album. I'm the worst fan for that. I mean, obviously I already said we listened to your whole career, your whole catalog, but it's like, oh yeah, your first record, man. That's pretty much the best album.
You love it.
Well,
you get that too. Well, you can't blame people. I'm guilty of this too, right? It's whatever album that you fell in love with the artist with is their best record, because that was the first date. That was the moment you fell in love. And so I'm guilty of that too. And so when people say that, I'm okay with it.
Well, there's songs on there too that just stick with you forever. You remember the first time you heard them, and all that stuff. Siri was listening to our conversation there.
So
That's my pastor.
Just want to make sure I have an opportunity to show everybody that I dressed up for the occasion. This is my wife's grandmother's apron, actually. I see you're rocking an apron too. Yours is a little bit more feminine than mine.
Yeah, Adam, you're very secure with your sexuality. I understand. You have 2 kids. You're married to a beautiful woman. I get it. You can wear a flowery apron and everything's totally cool. And me, I got my black one on. I was gonna wear one that's kind of a little bit racy, but underneath here, actually, I think we just have to show my Nick Cave shirt, because I'm a big fan of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. There are some controversial, male parts on this one, and I've actually a couple of times I've gone out and thought maybe I should change my shirt. I might offend somebody, but then you know what? It's Nick Cave's tiny devil penis. Who cares? What the heck?
Hey, why not? We'll test our blurring capabilities later when we put it on YouTube.
Facebook Live.
Yeah, Facebook Live, but we're going to archive it on YouTube. And in fact, if you are just tuning in now, welcome to REVERB's Quarantine Kitchen. We've got Tyler Stewart from Barenaked Ladies here cooking up some curried root vegetables. They're looking good, and I wish we had smell-o-vision right now, because I'd love to smell that.
See, if nice tomatoes were in season, of course, I wouldn't have just used the can of chopped, but for our time constraints, etc. But there's some tomatoes, and I'm just gonna add some coconut milk to this thing, and then we're gonna put a lid on it. Put a lid on it.
So wait, so just a little bit as far as the cooking instructions go. At what point do you pour the tomatoes in? Were you looking for a certain texture of the vegetables at this point, or?
No, I just wanted to make sure that they were all the vegetables got coated with a little bit of oil and spices, and then I could put that in. And then I got to.
That looks gorgeous.
Open up my coconut milk here. The thing about curries is they get better as they move on too. As they get older,
they
sit in your fridge, the flavor intensifies. That's good.
Well, it's true of a lot of things, right? Like chili's kind of like that too. I find you're better off eating it the next day.
Oh yeah, chili. Pretty much anything's better the next day. Like the flavors had a chance to intensify. Maybe also your initial. I find when I cook, sometimes I fall out of love with wanting to eat it right away. If you're stressed, if you're at all stressed out when you're cooking, which I almost always am. How many times have you made a dish? I'm not doing this anymore. I got to retire. I can't do this because you burn something. I'm like the suckiest chef. Like I have a meltdown if I blow a stage. So
that's so interesting to me, because I've always held you in high regard as far as your cooking abilities, because I think in fact there are a lot of firsts here. So first artist to work with REVERB, one of the first bands Guster toured with, and then also I think the first musician to cook for me was you, Ty.
Yeah, man. Like I had the whole band over here once. I remember. That's another thing with my family and Guster is that, hey, you remember those guys who came over? My older daughter's like, we were swimming in the pool and we had a good hang.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, that's one of the great things about our job, Adam. Man, you get to meet great people. You get to go to their house and sharing food, eating together. I mean, what a great way to share. And whether you're cooking for somebody, whether you're ordering in, but you're just sitting having dinner. And I find that maybe this lockdown thing is teaching us that sharing meals with your family, being together, cooking for your family, it's a big deal. We're a takeout society. We're a geek society. Where we can call Uber Eats or whatever delivery service and get takeout. But there's something about also filling your home with beautiful smells and sitting down together. And obviously, when we get a chance, we roll through wherever you guys are. We tend to try to get together and have some food. Remember last time you played in Toronto and your gear broke down?
Yeah.
You were frantically running all over the city, I think with Jim Cregan trying to find gear.
Yep.
But we ordered a bunch of Indian food and got together at Jim's and before your gig, so you guys were like burping garlic for your entire show that night.
Yeah, that is always the challenge. But yeah, I couldn't agree more about, I think especially, as we're all staying at home, what are the creature comforts? Food, of course, family, of course, and music's a big one too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Same way you're talking about aromatherapy, I'm definitely just, for me, music, a lot of what I love is just the vibe, almost having it in the background, like it's just, like you're saying, like a smell in the air. So I've been listening to a lot of old, like Nashville sound song, music from the 50s and 60s, just digging on that because it's just so vibey.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And well, anytime I listen to that stuff, or anytime I listen to like soul or older stuff, I want to fire up my smoker. And I've been doing. I did a brisket last week. My girls absolutely loved it. But the thing is, now you have an excuse to do a porch visit with some neighbors or something, or some friends, right? You can deliver some food to them, put it on their porch, and then you can stand 6 feet apart, and like it's like an offering of love. Food is love in this situation. Cut to me in 6 weeks. Food is love.
You are full of love.
My belly is love. It's coming at you first, belly first through the door.
I will say this is the most clothed I've seen you in a long time. For this, we've been going for a little over 20 minutes. This is the longest I've seen you keep your clothes on, which I'm.
Dude, I couldn't.
Not an invitation to change. I don't want you to change anything, but just reminded me when you started doing that oh yeah, usually at this point.
Well, that's how we've known each other a long time, because Tyler naked at age 25. That's a little different than Tyler naked at age 52. However, I saw the stuff that Yonkman posted. Dave Yonkman, of course, your great biographer, filmmaker, great guy. Haven't seen him in a while. Hope he's doing well. Hi, Dave, if you're watching. He says in that clip, I think I've seen Tyler naked more times than I've seen anyone else in my life. Which is both scary and amusing at the same time. I think one of the things with Barenaked Ladies was we always used to record a song naked. So one song per album, whether we needed the energy or the vibe or whatever. And we amused ourselves. Like, that was our best gag with each other. It's like, things are going terribly, we'll take our clothes off. Suddenly everyone's laughing and having a great time. So, Barenaked Ladies, the name is apt.
I'm just looking at some of the comments that have been coming in. People are asking if we've ever collaborated musically. Live, a bunch we have. We've done a bunch of songs together. One song in particular that I just loved is, I loved that Kids record. It dropped right when we were in the super kid zone where they were young, and
yeah.
Vegetable Town is still, like, actually while I was on tour right before we were forced to come home because of the quarantine, I was making videos for my daughter, who's now about to turn 12. But at the time, that song, I remember her like in her car seat singing along in the back. It's such a beautiful tune, and we got to play that with you guys in Toronto, I think, as well.
Well, we loved the Kids album Snack Time because well, all of our kids got to be on it. That song "Vegetable Town." You can really hear my daughter Hazel, who's 19 now. She was really close to the mic, and she was singing so loud. Her and Steve Page's son Ben. About "Won't you walk me down to Vegetable Town," like right on the mic, and it's so great to hear that. And that album too was so cool because the feedback. We didn't need any rock critics. We didn't need anything. The feedback was instant in the schoolyard. Because our kids were in grade school, we'd go in and people were like, "Oh man, your album saved us from a long trip," or "This is all they want to listen to, and it doesn't actually drive me nuts. You're saving me from Raffi."
Exactly.
Like exactly. Props to Raffi though. Thank one of the originators. I'm not dissing you, Raff. But you know what I'm saying.
So where are we on this recipe? What's going on now?
I put the lid on it. Got it going on simmer there.
Ooh, that's nice.
Put the lid until the vegetables are tender, and that's pretty much it. I'll probably put some rice on.
Yeah.
To have with it, and maybe top it with a little chopped cilantro and onion.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a nice little garnish on there. And Bob's your uncle. You've got a hearty meal that is going to last a couple of days, full of flavor, full of like vitamin C, vitamin K. You got your root vegetable stuff in there. You got your coconut enzymes that are going to keep you happy, and it's just
it's a vegan meal. You saw it here first, folks. Tyler cooking a vegan meal.
That's right. Well, who knew? Who knew that I was going to be the guy? I also noticed that, Adam, you've only had rhythm section members so far on the show, and I guess that goes to show the heart, the soul, the gastronomic essence of the band is always contained in the rhythm section. Jim Cregan, our bass player, is also a pretty good cook. He cooks a lot of vegan food. He's got a house full of vegetarians. So whenever the meat shows up on tour or we're going to a barbecue joint, Jim's always there getting the heaping plate because he won't get it for months.
Right. Well, maybe we can have him on next. That's wild.
I bet you know what? He'd do it. He's going to make hummus, though. The guy makes homemade hummus. It's delicious, but I swear he exists on it. Hummus alone. I mean, the guy has zero body fat, so you eat as much hummus as you want. But I don't know. Maybe I think we need some singers. We need some guitarists, keyboard players, etc. I've had a few great meals over at your former bandmate Joe Pizzapia's house.
Oh yeah,
down in Nashville.
He's a great cook.
Oh yeah, and usually that's cookout vibe. We're in the backyard and. Mark's over, or sometimes Marge is there, and
mom,
Joe's mom, and we have a good time. I'm not sure if I ate the last time I was at Ryan. You know what? I had amazing roast chicken once at Ryan and Angela's place in Brooklyn when they lived in Brooklyn, and Junior. I think Junior was just. Again, Junior. Of course, I mean Leo, who's not really Junior, but
no, Leo's almost 12.
Yeah, I think maybe she was just born, but he made me French chicken in a pot. So you essentially have a pot like this, and you slightly brown the chicken, but then you put the lid on it really tight, and it just comes out so juicy. And I remember it vividly because he just put the pot. Miller put the pot in the middle of the table, took the lid off, and said, "Let's just wait. Don't touch it for 5 minutes." And we sat and chatted while the aroma of beautiful roast chicken wafted through his tiny Brooklyn apartment. And then he just said, just start eating. So we picked at the chicken like, medieval serfs. And we just and then bread, and we just dipped it in the sauce. It was so incredible. It's a vivid memory for me. It was one of the nicest chicken dinners I've ever had, courtesy of your bandmate.
Nice. We'll have to hit him up too. Hey, while we're talking about all this food, and of course, gratitude for the ability to eat and be fed and cook for each other. I want to give a shout out to Why Hunger.
Yes.
They're feeding people who right now, and I'm putting something up right here on the screen. If you are able to donate, please do to whyhunger.org/rapid response. They're feeding the most vulnerable populations right now. And they always have, but obviously the vulnerable are even more vulnerable during this epidemic.
What a great organization, Why Hunger. Our pal Hillary Zuckerberg, who used to work in the music business in New York, worked for Ron Delzner.
That's right.
One of the great New York promoters. But Hillary is working for Why Hunger now, and she's partnered up with us. She's partnered up with you guys. She's doing a lot of great work with musicians, helping out and helping feed the hungry. And right now, especially, like, even for us, getting out to the grocery store, it's a scene. Like, you got to wait and you got to, be quick in there. You wear your mask and all that stuff. And it's a very stressful environment. It's a little Handmaid's Tale, if you will, for me. Blessed day. Do you have any chicken? But people who are, shut in the most or have mobility issues or financial issues, now is an extremely tough time. So Why Hunger doing some great work helping to feed those people. And bless them. If you got some extra coin, extra time, check out Why Hunger.
Absolutely. All right, Ty, I think our time is getting toward the end here. I want to take one more peek at your dish there. As far as cooking it, I'm asking for myself selfishly and for others who are wanting to recreate this. The recipe is available. You can go to reverb.org and /YouTube. This will be archived there soon. Hopefully we'll get that up there the next day or two. You can also check out our past episodes. We've got a cauliflower soup with Brian from Guster, and we have Fonz's Dirty Eggs with Stefan Starred from Dave Matthews Band.
Dirty eggs?
Dirty eggs. Yeah, he basically took Jose Andres, who he's gotten to know, showed him a sort of Spanish tortilla dish and turned it into Fonz's Dirty Eggs.
Awesome. Well, I recently shaved my beard off. I had a beard for 6 years, pretty good one going. Besides mortifying my children who really don't like me without a beard, Ed sent me a note, Ed Robertson from our band. He said, Mr. Clean, more like Mr. Dirty. So I got to try these dirty eggs to go along with it.
There you go. Yep. So wait, so as far as the consistency goes, get back in that pot. Let me see that thing.
Okay, so it's bubbling away. So what's happening is some of the moisture is bubbling off of this. The vegetables are softening. The flavors are blending in together. It's starting to look pretty good. It's thickening up. But some of the starch will start to break down in the potatoes, so that'll add some thickness to your sauce. You're hoping eventually for almost a gravy consistency, I would say, with it, and vegetables that are soft enough to eat, and away you go. So that's where we're at with that.
Is that like a 25, 30-minute deal at the end of this once it's all in the pot?
I'm going to say, about a half hour, maybe even more, 40 minutes. I always say low, right? Especially if you have a gas stove, nice and low. If it has a simmer position, even better, which will regulate it. So you just don't want it to burn and stick to the bottom. You get some bitterness in there. You want it to simmer, nice and slowly. So always giving yourself enough time to cook.
There it is.
I'm speaking to myself. It's like I'm talking in the mirror because I never do, but I like to. I like to think I do.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, thanks so much for joining us. This was awesome. Great to see your face. Good to catch up. I hope we can let's stay in touch during this time and throughout time, beyond this time.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, let's when all this shit is done, you and I and your bandmate, our bands have to get together and do shows again because I think more than I appreciate the long relationship we've had, the beautiful music we've made together, and so especially after an eye-opening experience like this, it sure is going to be nice to see your face, give you a big hug, and rock some tunes again. So we look forward to that.
Absolutely. If everyone who's following along, thank you for joining Reverb's Quarantine Kitchen, episode 3.
Thanks, everybody.
Episode 3. And if you want to catch other episodes, if you liked what you saw here, want to try some other recipes, go to reverb.org/YouTube. They're all there on a playlist for you. Thanks again, Tyler. There it is. Curried Root Vegetables, vegan curried root vegetables with Tyler Stewart of Barenaked Ladies. Thank you all. Take care.